In today's Final Touch, she ain't heavy, she's my wife.
53 men slung their wives or partners over their shoulders and set out on an hour-long race. It's the 23rd annual World Wife Carrying Championships held in Finland. Thousands of spectators converge on this small town to qualifying competitors from all over the world take part. A Lithuanian couple who also won in 2005 took this year's crown. That's our time for now. News 3 at 5 starts right now.
And right now at 5, a warning from Rock County as a scammer is apparently calling residents, threatening to arrest them, claiming to be a member of the Rock County Sheriff's Department.
2 weeks after walking off the job, plumbers will resume work at Whitty Hall.
And Wisconsin U.S. senators are reacting after the president announced his Supreme Court candidate nominee, what they're saying about Judge Brett Kavanaugh.
This is News 3 at 5.
Thanks for staying with News 3. Usually, if you think you're being scammed on your phone, your first instinct is to call the police.
But what happens when you think the calls that you're getting are coming from the police? Our Rock County reporter Adam Duxter joins us from our bureau at the Janesville Gazette with how scammers are using the police as part of their tactics. Adam?
The calls look just like they're coming from the police. They've already cost one person almost $2,000, and police still don't know who's behind it.
And this is Sergeant Troy Yeager from the Rock County Sheriff's Office, and I need to speak to you about an urgent matter.
That's the message people all across Rock County have been getting. A person pretending to be a police officer, telling them they've missed their court summons and now there's a warrant out for their arrest. It's a scam that officers say they haven't seen before.
This is the first scam that I can recall where the actual caller used a valid identity from a worker here employed at the Sheriff's Office.
Just yesterday, 3 people called Rock County Sheriff's Office to say they had gotten a call like this. One person following through with the demands of buying nearly $2,000 in Visa gift cards and transferring them over. Police say not to fall victim to tactics like this.
The Sheriff's Office does not call anyone regarding a warrant status, nor would the Sheriff's Office ever demand by phone payment for a warrant. It's just not a practice, it's a scam.
And when in doubt,
and if you do receive this type of request, immediately hang up and contact us.
Now, with these calls yesterday, the caller ID said the calls were coming from the front desk of the Rock County Sheriff's Department. So County Sheriff saying, hey, if you get a call like this, just hang up and call our office. We'll help you deal with it.
Adam Duxter in our Rock County Bureau. Adam, thanks.
A man was found dead in a van in Columbia County early this morning. The Wisconsin State Patrol said a trooper stopped just before 6 this morning. This was along the interstate near Highway 60 in Columbia County. That officer checking a Kia Sedona minivan that was stopped on the shoulder. The trooper found the lone male occupant deceased in that van. Arlington EMS, the Columbia County Sheriff's Department, assisted at the scene along with the Columbia County Medical Examiner's Office. The incident remains under investigation. The name of that man is being withheld.
One person was killed this morning after a 2-vehicle crash involving a motorcycle in Beloit. Officers responded around 10:15 to the intersection of Prairie Avenue and Robin Road for reports of a crash involving a motorcycle and a minivan. Officials say the driver of the motorcycle died in the crash. Officers are still investigating. The identity of the person who died is not known at this time.
Madison man has been arrested for his 5th OWI. Dane County Sheriff's Office says it happened about 12:10 this morning. Deputies say 42-year-old Edward Sorgan was going 50 and a 35 on Milwaukee Street in Madison. He was arrested and booked in the Dane County Jail for that 5th OWI. Sorgan also cited for operating after revocation and suspended registration.
Let's get a first check on the weather now. Gary Canalti is in the Weather Center. Gary?
You know, it was a pretty nice day today. We had some sunshine. Temperatures were warm, but the humidity levels were down compared to yesterday. There are some clouds coming in from the northwest. There were some showers and even a couple of thunderstorms associated with it, but other than just blotting out the sky a little bit this evening, we should clear out later on tonight, and you can see what showers there were are pretty much gone. Maybe a tiny little sprinkle up around Portage, but that's pretty much about it. Low temperatures this morning started out mild again. Here in Madison, we only dropped to 69 degrees. Other locations were in the middle 50s to the lower 60s, and a few places were still around 70. Current temperatures, though, are in the lower to middle 80s in most spots. Notice a little cooler to the north and west where the cloud cover is a little bit thicker, but those dew point temperatures down considerably compared to yesterday when we were looking at 70-degree dew points. Now they're closer to 60, and so the heat index is about the same as the temperature, in some cases even a little bit below the temperature. By tomorrow morning, look for temperatures to drop into the lower to middle 60s. Look for sunny skies for tomorrow. It'll be very warm, but still not too humid with a high of 86. That's your first alert forecast.
Thank you. More than 2 weeks after they walked off the job, plumbers will resume work at Whitty Hall on the UW-Madison campus.
There was concern the dorm wouldn't be move-in ready because of that strike. Our Keely Arthur joins us live to share how things got back on track. Keely?
That's right. This agreement was made just this afternoon, and it really couldn't have come any later. Now, construction here at Whitty is still very much underway, especially inside. And with move-in day a little bit more than a month away, students could not wait. Now, for 2 months, plumbers with local Union 75 and the Madison Association of Plumbing Contractors were in a wage dispute. Local 75 wanted higher wages, a 4.4% increase. The association said that was too high, quote, a lot of money. Not getting what they wanted, the union went on strike 2 weeks ago, and as students visited the unfinished building, they started to get pretty worried.
It's so last minute, you know, you're already worried about classes and what you have to bring and everything else. I mean, you don't want to have to be worrying about where you sleep at night.
That student and the more than 1,000 who will live in Whitty need not to worry. Move-in day is still set for August 19th. And again, I spoke with the union and the association over the phone this afternoon. They said, hey, the strike is over. Good news. They are still having a bit of a wage dispute, but there will be a handful of workers inside Whitty working on the plumbing tomorrow morning. Back to you.
That is good news. Keely Arthur reporting live. Keely, thanks.
Members of the United States Senate today are evaluating the president's nominee for the U.S. Supreme Court. Washington, D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals Judge Brett Kavanaugh. Republicans, including Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson, are generally in approval of this election, saying Judge Kavanaugh appears to be a modest judge who knows to interpret the law rather than alter it. And Senator Johnson says his decision whether or not to confirm won't be decided solely on Kavanaugh's stance on abortion rights.
I have no litmus test from that standpoint. My only litmus test is that somebody conduct themselves as a judge, applying the law, not altering it.
Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin issued a brief statement last night saying that people needed independent justice who will not overturn the law of the land on women's health, health care for those with pre-existing conditions, and constitutional rights. She says the stakes are very high for the American people.
The Madison Common Council is set to vote on possible changes for bicyclists to Winnebago Street on Madison's east side. In May, the Common Council voted to reconstruct Winnebago Street, eliminating parking on one side of the street to add a buffered bike lane. Mayor Paul Soglin then vetoed the plan. The council did not have the votes to override the veto, and the project was put on hold. City engineering brought back a new plan, which puts bikers into an unbuffered lane with parked cars on one side and cars and buses on the other. Grant Foster, the president of Madison Bikes, says this option doesn't work well for most bikers.
Doing that concept will make it so that it'll work okay for some people that are very experienced bikers, but for the vast majority of people that would be interested in riding their bikes, it's not going to work very well for them.
Businesses in the area have said removing parking would cause issues. The council will take up the construction plan tonight at its meeting at 6:30.
Wisconsin apple growers had a good year for 2017, but cranberry and tart cherry producers faced more challenges. The state produced 12% fewer barrels of cranberries last year than in 2016. That's according to recent data from the National Agricultural Service. The state's tart cherries also saw a 17% decline. A fruit crop specialist says productions dropped due to a 2017 16 spring frosts.
Art Fair on the Square is this weekend, and that means the Dane County Farmers Market will be moving for the week. The market will move to Stevens Field for 1 week only, along with a location change. There will also be a change in the hours for the farmers market this weekend. It will be open from 7 a.m. until 1 in the afternoon. This week you'll be able to find blueberries, the first cabbage of the season, sweet corn, some of those tart Door County cherries we were just talking about, and much more.
Dane County officials have officially removed the slow no wake restriction on Lakes Monona, Waubesa, and Kaganza today. They were removed at noon for those 3 lakes, but that restriction will still be in effect in Squaw Bay on Lake Monona. Officials say the lake levels are down about a foot from where they were when they peaked late last month. Slow no wake requirements were created to reduce shoreline erosion and also to protect low-lying areas from seeing flooding. The high water levels also make it dangerous for boaters. That's because county officials say docks and piers can be swept, scattering debris across the lake.
We're hoping with the dry weather that lake levels keep declining and we approach our summer maximum target level.
Lake Kaganza was the highest in the area, exceeding 100-year levels. Officials say Lakes Monona and Waubesa were close to hitting that as well. Rock County has also lifted its no-wake order for the Rock River.
News 3 is partnering with Project Babies again this year and hoping that you'll help expectant parents in Dane County. We're looking for donations for our community baby shower that continues this week. Here's a list of some of the items that are needed, basically anything that an infant would need. You can donate to help families in our area. The items will be distributed to families across the area at a community baby shower in October. You can drop off items for the baby shower today through Friday at Veridian Homes off of the Beltline at Southtown Drive or Associated Physicians on Regent Street at South Midvale Boulevard. You can also make a donation to the cause through PayPal, and all of that information is on our website, channel3000.com/baby shower.
There's more to come on News 3 at 5 up next. After 2 weeks, that young soccer team and their coach are now safe. How divers were able to rescue them from a Thailand cave.
And after announcing his pick for the Supreme Court, the president is overseas, what he plans to accomplish in Europe over the next several days.
Land on Wall Street, the Dow climbing another 143 points. Little change, though, for the NASDAQ, up 3, the S&P adding 10. We'll be right back. Welcome back. All 12 boys and their soccer coach are safely out of that flooded cave where they'd been trapped for more than 2 weeks.
A team of international divers navigated a treacherous 2.5-mile escape route to bring the last boys out of the darkness this morning. Crews drained millions of gallons of water from the cave, which helped reduce the fast-moving current and allowed the boys to walk in some parts that were previously flooded. Helicopters flew the boys to the hospital where they'll be held in isolation for tests before being reunited with their families.
What was it like for you to see those first kids come out?
I got really emotional. Yeah, all my team are. When we heard the news, all my team just cried.
All of the rescued boys are expected to stay in the hospital for several days. Some of them are asking for their favorite dishes. They asked for toast and Nutella, just like most boys, right? That's what they want, and they want to go to the World Cup, they told the doctor, but the doctor said, maybe this year you can watch it on TV.
Too bad of all times, during the World Cup, a soccer team.
Yeah.
Unreal.
It's an incredible story.
Happy they're safe. All right, President Trump is in Brussels, kicking off a week-long European tour. The annual NATO summit is the first stop. The president says he is ready to deliver a tough message to our European allies about defense spending. Ahead of his arrival, the president tweeted his frustration, saying, in part, quote, many countries in NATO, which we are expected to defend, are not only short of their current commitment of 2%, which is low, but are also delinquent. Of the 28 NATO nations, only the U.S. and 3 others spent the promised 2% of GDP on defense last year.
We're being taken advantage of by the European Union. We lost $151 billion last year on trade.
Following the NATO summit, the president will stop in the UK before sitting down with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The two leaders meet for their first summit in Helsinki, Finland, next week.
President Trump is pardoning 2 cattle ranchers convicted of arson in a case that sparked the armed occupation of a national wildlife refuge in Oregon. Dwight and Stephen Hammond were convicted in 2012 of intentionally and maliciously setting fires on public lands. The arson crime carried a minimum prison sentence of 5 years, but a sympathetic federal judge decided the penalty was too stiff and gave the father and son much lighter prison terms. Prosecutors won an appeal, and the Hammonds were re-sentenced to serve the mandatory minimum. The decision sparked a protest from Eamon Bundy and dozens of others.
Hollywood star George Clooney was rushed to a hospital in Italy after he was involved in a traffic accident while traveling to the set of a TV production. Clooney had reportedly been heading to the set of Catch-22. That's a TV series that is shooting in Sardinia. That's when he was hit by a man driving a Mercedes and did not respect Clooney's right-of-way. Clooney has since been released from the hospital. He received a CAT scan that revealed he had no fractures, only bruises.
Hawaii County Civil Defenses says 700 homes have been destroyed by lava from the Hawaiian volcano explosion. Officials say hundreds of other homes have sustained damage and are unlivable because of volcanic emissions. Hawaiian Volcano Observatory geologists say fissure number 8 continues to pour lava into a channel feeding into the ocean. At Kilauea's summit crater, explosive eruptions continue to trigger large quakes. The U.S. Geological Survey scientists say lava now covers more than 6,000 acres on the Big Island.
Time to check in with your first alert forecast. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti standing by on the backyard patio. Gary?
Things are pretty quiet out here. The humidity levels are down compared to yesterday. Got a little bit of cloud cover right now, but not much in the way of precipitation. Let's start out by taking a look at visible cloud track. The clouds that we have are actually the northern extent of some thunderstorms that moved from Minnesota into Iowa. That part has actually dissipated more rapidly than the northern part, which is hung together a little bit longer into Wisconsin. Current temperatures are generally in the 80s, although a few places are in the upper 70s, where the cloud cover is a little thicker to our north and west, like around Marshfield, Wisconsin Rapids. But dew point temperatures are down considerably compared to yesterday. Yesterday, this time, we were looking at dew points here in southern Wisconsin around 70 or a little bit above. Now they're generally in the lower 50s toward Milwaukee, around 60 in Madison, and lower to middle 60s over southwestern Wisconsin. On Doppler track, there might be a little tiny little sprinkle just south of the Dells, moving into the western portion of Columbia County. If you get a couple of drops of rain, that's pretty much all it will be, and they should pretty much be gone in the next hour or so. You can see the rest of the upper Midwest pretty dry. Now, tomorrow there'll be some thunderstorms to our north and west. The severe weather outlook from the Storm Prediction Center has a slight risk of severe thunderstorms over northern Minnesota and northwestern Wisconsin, and a marginal risk into west central parts of the state. And then there's a slight risk about as far south as La Crosse to a Green Bay line, with a marginal risk just to our north and west. This is mainly for Thursday night, although I think the better threat for thunderstorms here will be on Friday and especially on Saturday. That will drop temperatures a bit for Saturday, so we've lowered the temperatures, but they're still expected to be above normal through Monday, and then maybe the middle part of next week we'll see temperatures right around or slightly below normal, with high temperatures right around the 80-degree mark with less humidity. Live view for the Queen Bee Radio Skycam in Platteville. You can see a little more cloud cover there over southwestern Wisconsin. The WISC Skycam showing at least a few breaks in the clouds, and the Edgewater Skycam showing mostly cloudy skies over the downtown area. As we check out the almanac for today, the high temperature topped out so far at 86, the low temperature is 69, and right now we're sitting at 85. The air is calm, and the heat index right the same as the temperature, because the dew point temperature is right around 60 degrees. Out in the Atlantic Ocean, we continue to watch tropical, or now Hurricane Chris, now starting to make a move toward the northeast, but away from the United States. Top winds right now about 85 miles per hour, moving toward the northeast, and you'll see that accelerate with the forecast from the National Hurricane Center. It basically heads northeastward off the U.S. coast, and then eventually just kind of sideswipes Newfoundland, and then heads out in the Atlantic Ocean, and almost completely across the Atlantic Ocean north of the British Isles by Sunday. On weather track across the country, things pretty quiet in the northern part of the Midwest. Most of the shower and thunderstorm activity is in the southwestern or southern part of the U.S. The cold front that came through yesterday is now stalled out to our south and becomes a warm front back into Minnesota and South Dakota. On the other side of that front, notice those temperatures generally in the 90s to our south and west, and we'll probably be a little warmer over the next couple of days. So our forecast for tonight calls for partly cloudy skies this evening, then we'll clear out overnight with a low of 62. Tomorrow, mostly sunny and very warm, still not too humid with a high temperature of 86. On future tracking, see those clouds thinning out overnight. Temperatures will drop into the lower 60s by early tomorrow morning. Tomorrow we'll see plenty of sunshine with highs in the mid-80s. Partly cloudy, a little more humid tomorrow night. That'll keep low temperatures in the upper 60s. Notice the showers and storms well to our north, and they should stay that way for Thursday with high temperatures in the upper 80s. 7 to 10 day forecast, those temperatures on the warm side, at least through the weekend. Highs mid-80s Saturday, a little better chance for showers and thunderstorms, upper 80s on Sunday. And then early next week, a little bit of a drop in the temperatures and the humidity, especially for Tuesday and Wednesday. And then that comes back up toward the end of next week. As we take a look at first alert traffic, still have our slowdowns on the Beltline. This is the live view from the DOT camera. The Beltline at Todd Drive, a little bit better than a few minutes ago. Still seeing some off and on delays, both east and westbound between about Monona Drive and to just west of Verona Road. Some delays northbound on Highway 12 heading out of Middleton, and on East Washington Avenue in the Easttown shopping mall area. So look for about a 22 to 23 minute trip either direction on the Beltline between University Avenue and the interstate. Heading out of Madison, about a normal 28-minute commute from the Beltline to Janesville on I-3990. A little more than normal, 22 minutes out to Sauk City on US 12, and about 19 minutes to Sun Prairie on Highway 151. That's your first alert traffic.
All right, thank you, Gary.
Sure. Still ahead of News 3 at 5, new research shows multivitamins are pointless. It says all you need for a healthy heart is the produce aisle. We'll have a look at that report when we return. Is taking a multivitamin a waste of time?
A new report published through the American Heart Association finds multivitamins do not prevent heart attacks, strokes, or cardiovascular death. Kenneth Craig reports.
1 in 3 Americans take multivitamins and minerals, spending an estimated $21 billion on supplements every year. But a new analysis suggests when it comes to heart health, multivitamins and minerals are not worth it. Research published in an American Heart Association journal looked at 18 previous studies on multivitamins that tracked more than 2 million people for an average of 12 years. They found multivitamins do not prevent heart attacks, strokes, or cardiovascular death.
Americans taking these supplements, presumably because they're concerned about their health, would be better served by spending their money on good nutrition in the form of a healthy diet.
Researchers say the best multivitamins and minerals come from the produce aisle. Fruits and vegetables already have a proven track record of lowering the risk of heart disease and stroke. Supplements are also not FDA approved for safety or effectiveness.
People shouldn't be under the misconception that just because you can get these over the counter that they're safe. Each year, it's estimated that 23,000 individuals are seen in emergency departments across the country due to adverse effects from different supplements.
But the Council on Responsible Nutrition, a supplement trade group, says multivitamins fill nutrient gaps in our less than perfect diets and are not intended to serve as magic bullets. The group points out multivitamins help low-income Americans combat insufficient nutrient levels for less than a dime a day. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, New York.
One final check of your forecast in a moment. Stay with us.
Tonight on the CBS Evening News, we have new details on the final rescues in Thailand and updates from the hospital as families wait to see kids. A war of words with European leaders has begun as President Trump lands in Brussels, and how a deputy was able to find a 5-month-old buried alive in the woods. Tonight on the CBS Evening News.
It's a warm evening tonight.
It is, but the humidity levels are down, so that makes it feel a little more comfortable. In fact, as we take a look at Doppler trackers, a couple of tiny little sprinkles just south of the Dells that are falling apart. I think they're not going to last for much longer. Current temperatures mid-80s, but the heat index values are about the same as the temperature. Look for highs mid to upper 80s the next couple of days. Humidity starts to increase, and that leads to some thunderstorm chances, especially from Friday into Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And then a break in the heat and humidity Tuesday and Wednesday. Some more heat and humidity at the end of next week. More thunderstorm chances.
All right, Gary, thanks. Sure. CBS Evening News coming your way next. We'll be back in 30 minutes for News 3 at 6.